here. I'm going to call the meeting of the Management Committee to order on today, May 14th. I just want to point out to the fact that on our agenda we have the Dakota Land, Water, and People Acknowledgement, and I hope everybody here and those that are watching at home, especially if they're online and have our agenda up, can take a moment to review that. And then we will be doing that on a quarterly basis. So if anybody does want to do it though at a particular meeting, that's great too. Just let me know. So with that, we do have a quorum. We've got the agenda before us. We've all had a chance to review that. So without objection, we'll move forward. The agenda is approved. And then we've got the next item on our agenda is approval of the April 23rd draft management committee meeting minutes, which we've all had a chance to look at as well. Are there any additions, corrections, changes to that? All right then, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve those draft meeting minutes. So moved. It's been moved by Cedarburg. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Osmond. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, no, and that passes unanimously. So thank you for that. We have a couple of items on our non-consent business agenda portion today. Reports from our standing committees, and the first one is 2025-83. This is 2025 salary adjustments for our regional administrator and general counsel. And we've got Cassandra Tabor, our Chief Human Resources Officer, with us to go over this. So thank you for being here, Cassandra. Good to see you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, committee members, before you today is business item 2025-83, which is the 2025 salary adjustments for the regional administrator and general counsel. As background, unclassified positions are designated, appointed, and compensated under the direction and the authority of the regional administrator. And salary increases for executive positions have been determined for 2025 as 4.5% general increase and a 2.5% for performance scores of meet expectations or higher. This is within the 2025 adopted operating budget and is consistent with the parameters established by the Management Committee for represented bargaining units as well as non-represented staff. The regional administrator and general counsel are different, as both of those are appointed by the Metropolitan Council, and section 10.9 of the non-represented plan provides us direction for their compensation, and it states, the chair may propose a starting salary and salary adjustments for the regional administrator and general counsel. The chair will advise the management committee and obtain its consent before implementing any salaries or adjustments. I've conversed with the chair, and this item asks that the committee accept Chair Zelli's 2025 salary recommendation for Ryan O'Connor, regional administrator, and Ann Bloodhart, general counsel, and authorize staff to implement salary increases in alignment with a non-represented general increase of 4.5% and include performance compensation of 2.5% for their performance scores of meet expectations or higher. And that would be effective December 21st of 2024. But before you accept this, I would like to provide a bit of history on our existing process and an update for 2025 and forward. So as is happening this year, we usually bring this item to the management committee in the spring of each year for the current year. As we focus on HR and continuous improvement in 2025, we have discovered that our current system and our processes historically applies these changes prior to consent and acceptance by the management committee, and was being done in alignment with all of our other non-represented changes at the beginning of each new year. So we bring it in the spring, that's when those changes are supposed to take effect. Historically, we've brought it in the spring, the changes have already taken effect. Yes.
Okay, that's, if I may, that is news to me.
Yes.
Having been part of this process, and another I was going to ask is Chair Zelli would consult with me ahead of the management committee meeting,
Okay.
and we'd have a discussion to kind of go a little deeper. So when I saw this on the agenda, I'm like, okay, maybe that was not part of state law or something. You know, we have to follow very carefully the practices, but that was something different too. So maybe we can just touch base after this meeting, or we can talk about it now, quite frankly, just that process. And I know that there were also some reviews that I would take part in. So just let me know what my role will be going forward. I did appreciate kind of the heads up on that. In case there were, any concerns or questions here, I could also participate in some of that rationale. having then had that conversation with Chair Zelli and maybe even been part of some of the review.
And that makes sense, that was a prior conversation in previous years. I think this year in discovering the error that is happening within our system, that I might have gotten him out of his norm in working
Sure.
through discovering this, so definitely we
Yeah.
can chat about that.
And if that needs to be codified isn't the right word, but written into it just for prospective,
We can do
that would be great. So again, just to confirm, even in the process in the past, it wasn't retroactive upon approval, but it had already been instituted?
It had, correct. And so with those past approvals, what would have happened is if, when you accepted a recommendation, those were not in alignment with the changes that had already happened, they would have done retroactive changes. So the good news is that no one was compensated incorrectly ultimately, but it is not in alignment with our language currently.
Councilmember Cedarburg.
Thank you. So I heard you say that this is retroactive to 2024,
No, the beginning of 2025.
25, okay, but I think I did hear 2024 in.
Oh, I apologize,
December.
2020.
December.
December 20.
Yeah, that's when pay changes take
Okay.
effect for,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
thank you, good clarification.
Not the whole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So with this in mind and to prevent this risk in the future and to better align more accurately our language with how we act, we will obtain consent before implementing any salaries or adjustments, and Human Resources will now bring this action forward at the end of each year for the coming year, before any pay changes take effect within our system for any staff member, to ensure that the committee's consent occurs prior to the adjustment per the language in 10.9. So as a result, you are being asked to accept this recommendation today for the 2025 compensation year, and at the end of this year, I will bring forward the chair's recommendation for 2026. So effectively, you'll see 2 requests this year, and that's just to get us on track with a correct cycle. That way we aren't working in retro and we are well in alignment with our existing language.
I do appreciate that. And then Cassandra, if I may, because it does reference consistent with non-representative adjustments and kind of some of that comparison or peer or whatever, not peer necessarily, but I know that sometimes we might look at bargaining units and where they've landed too. So with the change in timing, and bargaining units can be bargaining at any given point in time with you know, whatever throughout that process. So this will still fit so that we've got some comparisons with some of these others, right?
Yes, correct. And if we find that we're in a situation in a specific year where we want to bring this later, knowing that we need to monitor our systems so that we aren't putting ourselves in a retro situation, then we can do that too. But I think we should be fine bringing it at the end of a calendar year for the next year, so that we're ahead of where we need to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the committee? So you and I can just touch base to
Yeah.
see if Chair
Sounds
Zelli still kind of wants to do what we've done in the past, and if there's anything else that this committee needs to be thinking about.
Yes, I appreciate it. I brought this when I first started, like the week that I first started, so this is my first official year through, so we can definitely talk about that process.
Okay, great, and thank you for again, bringing your expertise and your due diligence to everything they do and getting us on track. That's just super important, and we should have been doing it, so appreciate your getting us where we need to be. All right, so with that, we have the motion then that is being proposed that the Metropolitan Council accept Chair Zelli's 2025 salary adjustment recommendation for Ryan O'Connor, our regional administrator, and Ann Bloodhart, our general counsel, and authorize staff to implement salary increases in alignment with the non-represented adjustment, 4.5%, including performance compensation for performance scores of meets expectations or higher, and that would be at 2.5%, which would be effective, again, December 21st of 2024 for the payroll to coincide with January 1 of 2025. Okay, is there a motion then? Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Moved by Osmond, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Pacheco. So, photo finish on that one. Any further discussions? And I just want to say, again, I appreciate the work of our regional administrator and our general counsel. It's been certainly a great pleasure working with Ryan as he's come into this role now over a year ago, and then Anne just relying on her expertise and her whole team, but just acknowledging the great work that they're doing for the council too on behalf of the management committees. Thank All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. And that passes unanimously, so thank you so much. We appreciate you coming forward, and I'll just chat with you later when we get some time on putting the new plan in place. And then we've got another item on our agenda today, and we'll have Ned Smith, our Chief Financial Officer, presented. It is the 2025-124 Railroad Liability Insurance for North Star Operations. This is an interesting one, so, well, they all are, but thanks, Ned, for being here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as you said, I'm Ned Smith. I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the Metropolitan Council. Before us today is a discussion of North Star Liability Insurance. The agreement we have with BNSF requires us to get railroad liability insurance that will respond to claims related to North Star operations, which includes some of the following, things like passenger service. So this could be injuries to passengers in the event of an accident or incident. This is also the North Star facilities. So if someone slips or falls on a platform, and Burlington Northern has liability that would not have occurred but for the North Star commuter rail operations. The limit of this insurance is tied to a federal cap on passenger rail liability, which is currently $323 million. Multiple insurance companies are needed to get to that level of insurance, as companies are limited in the amount of insurance they can provide. So if you ever hear the term tower, that's what that refers to. It's a tower of insurance companies providing, getting us to that $323 million. The insurance does not cover claims that are solely related to Burlington Northern's freight operations. And we have no open claims at this time, and our last claim was from 2018. And I'd also point out that as we know, North Star is winding down service. And so right now, this insurance policy is based on North Star serving customers. When the system shuts down completely and we're no longer servicing customers, that will change the liability profile. And we have built into the agreement that we can go back and renegotiate those terms to account for the fact that we won't be moving passengers back and forth. So with that, Madam Chair, the proposed action is that the Metropolitan Council authorize the renewal of its railroad liability insurance effective June 1st, 25 through June 1st, 26 for the North Star commuter rail operations in the amount not to exceed $2.6 million.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions? Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I assume that even after there's no more passenger moving, there's still facilities. So we have to maintain insurance, I assume, until those facilities are removed?
Madam Chair, that's, yes, and council members, that's correct. So we will not be completely out of the insurance business as long as those facilities are still there.
Yeah, good question, thank you. Anything else? Councilmember Osmond?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to know that what was the premium cost of last year? And it says up to 2.6 million for this one, right?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, that is correct. It is up to 2.6 million. I will need to check to find out what the premium was last year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll get that information to the whole committee. And when I spoke with Phil, he didn't mention that, I mean, insurance is a thing right now, we're all watching, but he did not mention that there was anything alarming as far as, you know, this amount, but we can definitely get that history for you. And actually, if we can go back a couple times, because he'll have it all, just kind of give you maybe the past few times we voted on things like this. And I just also want to point out that we're again working with AXA XL, which has been very, very valuable to the council in how we again build our tower or stack our insurance in making sure that we've got that full coverage as required by the federal government. So, anything else? All right, then we have again the proposed action that the Metropolitan Council authorize the renewal of its railroad authority liability insurance effective June 1st, 2025 to June 1st, 2026 for the North Star commuter rail operations in an amount not to exceed $2.6 million. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, by Osmond. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Barber. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. And that passes unanimously. So thank you, Ned, for all of that. And thank you, Phil, who couldn't be with us today, who works very hard on this as well. Okay, with that said, we are coming to the information portion of our agenda, and I believe we have a motion from Councilmember Cedarberg.
Madam Chair, I move that this meeting also be closed to the public pursuant to Minnesota statute, section 13D.05, subdivision 3B, and applicable case law, so the committee can discuss with our legal counsel in a confidential setting attorney-client privilege matters.
Thank you, Councilmember Cedarburg. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Osman. And then I will just make sure that everybody who's here and watching at home, a public body by majority vote in a public meeting may decide to hold a closed meeting under section 13D.05 subdivision 3B of the Minnesota Open Meeting Law to discuss attorney-client privilege matters. Discussing these litigation matters in a confidential setting will permit the council to engage in a candid discussion and resolve these matters in a way that benefits the council and the public. During discussion, it will be closed. This portion of the meeting will be closed to discuss attorney-client matters and will be confined to the pending litigation matters listed in the committee agenda only. We won't be discussing anything else. And with that, let's vote to close the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. And that passes unanimously. So now we'll give it just a minute so we make sure that we go offline. And then just so